Oh, hi folks. I thought I'd do it from office downstairs today. Um, Anybody who knows me by now, with all my 45 subscribers, how exciting, 45 quality people, um, will know that I'm not exactly the greatest fan of royal families of any kind. I think they're dinosaurs, and it's about time we all grew up, really. And I take great Schadenfreudic pleasure. That means pleasure out of others' misfortune when I look at the royal family, particularly the British royal family, which are fundamentally Germans. And how we fell for this old coconut, I really don't know. But we were born into this nonsense, weren't we? At what stage did all this happen? Well, there's plenty of history books you can read. How on earth that we got usurped by a bunch of Nazis in this country is beyond me. And brighter people than me will know the answers to that. All I can tell and all my take on all this, when I watch them giving the royal wave to us all, is that we shall have the last laugh, quite frankly. Because in life, nothing is permanent. And I hope they're lapping it up and enjoying it for what it is. It's all temporary. I'm drinking Buxton water, which is quite fizzy, so forgive me if I throw out the occasional belch. And when I watch the processions of the yardie-yards going by and the nonsense associated, it's almost like when you watch a polo game, if you're into that sort of thing, which I'm not. I just think it's horse abuse, quite frankly, the way they bomb around on their little horses. I don't like riding on any particular animal, including horses, because I think the animal looks far more beautiful without some fat turd sat on the back of it. And I often have a lot of sympathy for these horses when you consider the weight they're having to lug around, and equally when you look at a fat slob Arab on the back of a camel, or even worse, a fat Greek on the back of a donkey. It's staggering to me, that we do this. It is animal abuse of another kind, isn't it, really, expecting them to pull. And particularly cruel, of course, was the wars, the Great Wars, where they exposed horses into Flanders fields and Niepce and all the others in France. And the horses were victims of war, the same as we were. And you could say, well, good luck. The horses had no truck in the wars. They were busy munching grass, whatever horses do. And I think that, there are many times that we abuse animals, and we talk ourselves, us humans, certainly the British, as a nation of animal lovers, which is quite a joke when you consider the abuse that goes round. But just to go back on the royals for a moment, I look at them and I think, you raving, incestuous, paedophilic, satanistic ponce. I look at them and I just see paedophile all over their faces, child sacrificer all over their faces, and they are the complete pole opposite of all the good in this world. I have no love for the royals. Off with their heads, as far as I'm concerned. And, many countries survive quite happily without royals, thanks very much. And we can do without the bills. Yes. And any money that they do consume and take from our society should be given back to the people, for the people, by the people. And this is my thoughts. So, I think it's a disgrace. But What's even worse when you look at some of these ponces is that they think they're so macho. It is not the royals nowadays at the front taking the shit at the front line with the lads, is it? They're all brave in their uniforms of super high rank and super income and status, but they've never earned a sergeant's stripe or an officer's stripe on their arm, have they? They've never earned it. They've been to Sandhurst, they've been to Cranwell, learnt to fly a little aeroplane around, whoopee bloody do. But they've never seen any action because they're a bunch of snivelling shit cowards. That's what they are, the lot of them. Even Phil the Greek, alleged Greek, a Nazi through and through. Why don't the British people wake up and smell the coffee and say, enough of this nonsense? The Queen owns 75% of the beaches and land masses surrounding our country. 75%. Okay? Another example, Prince Charles, Duchy of Cornwall, that's him. Anybody who dies intestate, i.e. without a will, in Cornwall, leaves a few million. Charles has the right to pocket it and use it as he wishes. Oh yeah, and to date he's probably amassed in excess of £4 million from people who have died without a will in Cornwall. And the number's rising, of course, exponentially, speeding up because he's trying to knock them all off. That's what we're doing. And every day his income is around about £17 million a year. Charlie boy. Not bad work for doing sweet FA, but talking to plants and the occasional satanic ritual and sacrifice. And sniffing bicycle seats and fiddling around with Camilla Parker Bowles. What a monster that man is. He truly is. But they're all monsters, folks. They truly are. But I just think this too shall pass, as I've mentioned in previous videos. Lap it up, boys and girls. But the sickening thing is when they display quite proudly pictures of their grandfathers and fathers, kneeling or standing over a dead rhinoceros with their shotgun. Oh, this was taken in 1876 by my yada yada yada, and a hunting trip in Africa. So proud that he shot a defenceless animal. There's one there. He's got a dead leopard on his lap holding his gun, this prat. And your point is, do you feel better? Do you feel a better man now that you've shot that animal? And it just demonstrates to me the insanity of them all. They're all raving bloody lunatics. Well, I don't want to be a part of the club. I just sympathise with Diana Spencer, Lady Diana Spencer, due respect in it. Whoever got involved with that nonsense, that family from hell, as far as I'm concerned. Why are we putting up with this in today's society? Staggers me, that question. I fail to answer it. I wrestle with it, and perhaps I'm wasting my time because, well, every dog has its day. And sooner or later, folks, we will get rid of the royal family. Okay, and then we will have a country of our own, not belonging to anyone, like the Saxon Coburg Gothas. And how it is that a bunch of krauts usurped us in our country, Great Britain. And historically, I get myself depressed looking at factual historical evidence because lay your life down for Queen and country, you've got to be kidding, haven't you? Well, I will if they lay their lives down. If I saw Charlie Boy and Andrew the Playboy, the kiddie fiddler from, that knocks around with rich billionaires on an island, to have a bit of a play with young underage girls. Yes, Andrew, he's gone very quiet, hasn't he, lately? And then we've got the ginger and the apparent family man along with him, the two princes. I think that they're just a little bit more embarrassed than anything else having to do what they do nowadays, because they know truly what the general public think of them. And they put it to the back of their minds, obviously, and they're kept very low profile, haven't you noticed? There's not much on telly about the royals nowadays because they know they're on bloody thin ice. Well, as I say, their time will come. Come the revolution, brother, we will have their heads. Well, it'll be after my lunch break, I suspect. But it doesn't stop me despising them for the charlatans that they all are. I mean, you know, it beggars belief. People don't seem to realise that the Queen has to wipe her own arse, you know. Her crap stinks just like everybody else's, doesn't it? It's not gold lined, it doesn't float down the Thames, you know. Her feet smell, her ass smells, her breath smells. And Prince Philip, I mean, look at this Greek. Don't get me started on the royals. Well, it was my fault I started with the royals, wasn't it? But I get so irritated, it puts my blood pressure up, and I really shouldn't. But I'm impotent in many ways, and one of them is I cannot do anything about the royals. What I can do is be aware of what a bunch of snivelling shits they are, these parasites. And that's what they are. But you, if you lose your job and you've got nowhere to live, you can't go and take money from the society for nothing. You're being a parasite. Well, what do the royals do? They're not gainfully employed, are they? They're born into being parasites. That's what they are. They're ticks on a dog. That's all. The dog British Empire. Not only that, I mean, the Queen is not even happy with Britain. She wants Australia and New Zealand and a lot of other places. That money's pouring in. The old bitch doesn't know what she's going to do with it. But you know what? This too shall pass. She will turn her toes up just like the others. You know, hello everybody. And I just smile because one of my big things in life is to outlive the old bitch and watch the procession of a dead Prince Philip going down the mall, clip clop, clip clop. And maybe he will come back as he wishes, as a virus to kill the rest of humanity off, downsize us all. Because he's pretty much a virus now. I think he's a parasite. You know, that's worse. And he's just a disgrace. And he's a Nazi, let's not forget. The royals. But you've noticed they don't get a lot of airplay now on the TV. They're kept very low profile because they know that people are getting tired of it all. We've all grown up, it seems. The only people who are interested in the royals, of course, are those who are after their next gong, their BEMOBE, knighthood, yada, yada, yada. Well, they all lost their importance to me, not that they ever really were important to me, because the moment they started to give pop stars and football players and sports players gongs like, dare I mention him, Sir Jimmy the paedophile Savile. That was for services rendered for supplying children, of course, to the Satanistic bastards around the country. If Charlie knew how to get a few babies and children on the go, didn't he, for the royal sacrifices? A friend in need, of course, and Jimmy Savile was always available. He'd always get what he wants. He gets what Charlie wants, doesn't he? The procurer of children, Jimmy Savile. The abuser of children, a known necrophile. How it is that a man like Jimmy Savile becomes Sir Jimmy is just... If I was a knight of the realm, through sheer hard bloody work and what I contribute to society, and I was proud of my gong, my knighthood. Ah, yeah, and then Jimmy Savile gets one. I'd give mine back and say, have it back. You've just devalued practically every other knight of the country. Because sportsmen, celebrities, procurers of children, you name it, they get a gong for services rendered not to the British people, to the royal family, in appreciation of all those children you supplied for child abuse and sacrifice and sex parties. Thank you very much, Jimmy. And he was supposedly an arbitrator between Lady Diana Spencer and Charlie Boy. What the Really? Really? A washed out northern disc jockey with no particular bloody talent trying to arbitrate between Prince Charles and Diana Spencer, who couldn't stand the man. And she saw him for what he is, this scumbag. If I had my way, and I had the health and the patience, and I would go and dig that bastard up out of his little grave in Whitby. I think that's where he's buried. Rather strange, he's buried near the Dracula's, alleged Dracula's castle, facing the ocean at a 45-degree tilt. I'd tip him into the sea, quite happily. But it's an unmarked grave, is it not? I'm sure some people will know where Savile is resting. I hope he's resting in hell. So that's my about him. But I'm just nothing surprises me nowadays. The older I get, the less surprised I get, quite frankly, because seen it, done it, got the T-shirt, heard it all. Nothing more can surprise me about this. I can't think of anything that's going to happen will surprise me anymore about the royals and the politicians and the banks. I do fret that I'll wake up one morning and open my bank account and realise there's nothing in it. That's a regular thought in my mind all the time, because this is what they can do to us. They got every person working in this country now obliged to have their wages put into the bank directly. What's the matter with wage packets? Ooh, no, somebody might steal your money and you know, we might get robbed. Well, we're getting robbed. I have to pay the bank £15 a month to keep my account open for the privilege of looking after my money. I have to pay the bank. Well, what does the bank do with my money when I'm asleep? Oh, they're throwing it around on the stock exchange, making a fortune for themselves, using my money. Because let's face it, we think the banks have money. They don't have money. They have other people's money. It's a great scam. I've got nothing in this room, and I can insist everybody coming past my house can have to put their money in my room. And while they're sleeping, I can gamble on the stock exchange while they're asleep, using their money to make myself a fortune. What have I done? Sweet FA. I've just collected money. Told them and conned them to say that it's check. And if the bank goes bust, hey ho, sorry about that. Shouldn't have put your money with me. You see, we can't trust banks at all. What a great scam. And the other scam, of course, is interest, usury. This is a Zionist problem, isn't it, that was initiated? This is what the man of the cloth Jesus was up against. Charging interest on money that doesn't exist, will never exist, was magicked out of thin air. And it's all a theory. It's all numbers on a computer now. You don't need to see the evidence. I can't go into the bank and ask to see their gold. And nor can you. Fort Knox is empty. All the money, all the gold, and the silver is in Switzerland. That's all. Now, that's all you need to know. Now get back to work and shut your face. Peasant. And that's what we are. You could live in a tent or a mansion. Okay? But if you have to get up to an alarm clock, you're working class. And a lot of these people living in mansions have to get up to an alarm clock before they're late to work. They're going to be late. Late, late, late. Most heart attacks happen between the hours of 7 in the morning and 11 in the morning. Because it's a stressful bloody time. That's why they call it an alarm. It's an alarm clock. It should bloody be an alarm clock. More people die in the morning than they do in the afternoon and evenings. Because it's the stress of everyday bloody living, and life shouldn't be like this. This is why the royals live for a ripe old age. Name me some that have died young. Well, I'm really trying to figure it out. Queen Mother, 101 or 2, wasn't she? The current Queen, 91, 90? Prince Philip, similar age. Just go down the list. Any major tragedies in their life, apart from those caused by interbreeding and fucking your brother or sister, and too close a relative like the Muslims do? You know, the haemophilia still raises its ugly head sometimes, but you can blame Queen Victoria for that one, can't you? When she pissed off to stay with a Scotsman. And her husband died, of course. Yes, the mad ones. This is what interbreeding gets you, you see, and we're ruled by the nutters. Great Britain is ruled by a bunch of incestuous, satanic, egotistical, psychopathic, fucking lunatics, basically. To them. So, to say I'm an anti-royalist would be an understatement, quite frankly. And if anybody's going to press the button to terminate them, you've got your man, you're listening to him. I'll do it. I won't lose a bit of sleep. Stick a head under the guillotine, I'll pull the lever. No problem at all. I'm your man, I'm volunteering. I wouldn't charge. I might charge an entrance fee to the other few million in this country who'd love to watch it live on Sky. Yes, stick it on Netflix, make a fortune. The decapitation of the royal family. Is that... Oh my goodness me, I'll get my channel banned if I carry on. Well, there we are. They've decapitated enough people in their bloody time, haven't they? Look at Henry VIII, the one with festering, stinking leg ulcers. The man that couldn't produce a woman. Oh yes, that's right. The one with festering leg ulcers that stank the castle out. At one stage he was so fat, and this is not told in the history books, that in order for him to lie on his back and thrust his hips backwards and forward in the sex motion, if you like, so a woman could sit astride him, he was so fat that he had a man on each corner of the bed pulling 4 sticks under his buttocks to push him up. Come on, pull you bastards, I'm nearly there. Yeah, and that's true. I just don't want to visualise it. I can't imagine anything worse. I feel sorry for the woman. But this is what they get away with because they're all lunatics. But you know, the great thing is, the royals, they think they're so rich. But what must piss them off royally? They can't take it with them. Do you know if they could, they would? Oh yes, they would. They would bury it just to stop you having it, you peasant, if they could. This is why they're surrounded in security. It's not to keep them safe for us, it's to keep us safe from the lunatics. That's all. And I'm rather pleased that they stay well out of my way in the country, shooting innocent rabbits and squirrels and pigeons on their estates. Best place for them, behind locked doors as far as I'm concerned. I really don't want to see them or smell them or, you know. But they are, as history will prove, everything is temporary. And the Windsor clan are all temporary. Because sooner or later, as I've said in previous videos, time is a great healer. And the way time is going to heal our current situation on our planet, the flat one, is eventually, folks, we'll all be gone. And life will have to start again. But do you know something? I think we're just stupid enough to start it all over again. And I may be having this conversation in a couple of thousand years' time. On another platform with a few more subscribers you'll get. You never know, it could be touch screen. Literally, I could touch you and you could touch me. It'd be a great thing, wouldn't it? Senso screen, you could call it. Oh, go on, stroke my head. Stroke. Oh, that's nice. Keep going, keep going. You see, wouldn't that sell 1 million? Think about that. Your local perverts subscribing to that super quick. But no. Has the internet done us a lot of damage? It's done more good than damage. But like everything else, it's subject to abuse by the abusers. And the worst thing that happened on the internet is that they allow pornography and grooming and social intercourse. And the biggest purveyor of such stuff, strangely enough, is Facebook. This data collection catchment system that actually protects paedophiles and should be shut down as far as I'm concerned. But there we are. It's above my pay grade to make that decision, but I would stop the quangos such as Google and Facebook. LinkedIn's turning into a piece of trash. It was a good concept. The only decent thing, but it is now getting worse and worse, for censorship. Censorship is YouTube. Yet, I can talk and you could talk common sense and we could have serious videos produced about the state of play on this world. We get a low number of hits and a low number of subscribers. But you can talk about plastic dog shit from Hong Kong and the latest charts about some moron kicking out a tune. You get millions of hits. The world truly is going insane. Maybe it is the madness of King George that's got us all. What do you think, folks? That's enough of me tonight. Catch you tomorrow.